Welcome to Kanerika's podcast, The Digital Shift. I'm your host, and we are back to cut through the noise of the technology landscape. Today, we are tackling a beast of a topic. We're looking at the 2026 data ecosystem, and specifically the relationship between two absolute giants, Microsoft Fabric and Power BI.
It's great to be here. And giants is definitely the right word. These two tools are pretty much eating the market right now.
They really are.
But because they sit so close to each other in the Microsoft stack, people get very, very confused about where one ends and the other begins.
They do. And to kick things off, I want to hit you with a number that it sets the stage for why we're even having this conversation.
Okay.
This comes from Forrester's 2025 analysis, and it's the kind of statistic that, usually makes CFOs spill their coffee.
I am ready.
Organizations using Microsoft Fabric are reporting a return of $4.79 for every single dollar invested.
Wow. That is a staggering ROI, almost a 5-to-1 return.
Yep.
In the world of enterprise software, you're usually happy if you just break even in year one or see a slight efficiency gain. Okay. To see nearly 500% return it's almost unheard of.
Exactly. And you'd think with numbers like that on the table, the path forward would be crystal clear for every business leader. You see the stat, you buy the tool, you profit.
But that's not what's happening on the ground, is it?
Not at all.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Despite that incredible return, there's massive confusion in the market right now. We see businesses struggling to decide between Fabric and Power BI.
All the time.
All the time. We see leaders asking, which one is better? Or, do I need Fabric if I already have Power BI?
Right, which feels a bit like asking, do I need a transmission if I already have wheels?
That's a surprisingly accurate comparison, actually. The problem is they're asking which is better when they really should be asking which matches our workflow.
And maybe more importantly.
And more importantly, how do they fit together? Because if you buy the transmission without the wheels, you aren't going anywhere.
So that's our mission for this deep dive. We're going to dismantle this whole Fabric versus Power BI debate. We aren't looking at this like a product review. We're treating this as fresh industry intelligence. We need to explain the distinct impact of each, looking at the architecture, the pricing, and the AI capabilities that are actually driving these decisions in 2026.
Precisely. We need to move past the marketing slough. Because if you get this architecture wrong, you are not getting that 5-to-1 return.
No.
You're just getting a very expensive bill and a lot of frustrated analysts.
Okay, let's unpack this. We have to start with the fundamental shift. How should we define these players? Because for a long, long time, Power BI was the name in the game.
It was.
If you did data at Microsoft, you did Power BI.
It was. And, in many ways, it's still the face of the operation. But you have to understand the scope. Think of Power BI as this specialized tool. It focuses on visualization, dashboards, storytelling.
A front end.
Exactly. It's designed for the business analyst who needs to present insights to stakeholders. It is the window through which you view the data.
Okay, so Power BI is the window. Then what is Fabric?
Fabric is the house. Or, to use a better analogy for industry, Fabric is the whole unified platform. It combines data engineering, warehousing, real-time analytics, and BI all in one place.
I've heard this described using a factory analogy. Can you walk us through that? Because I think that really helps visualize where the money actually goes.
Sure. This is really the best way to think about it. Think of Microsoft Fabric as the entire factory.
Okay.
It's the loading docks where raw materials come in. It's the assembly lines, the storage warehouses, the heavy machinery. It's the grime and the gears. It's where raw data gets smelted into something useful.
And Power BI in that analogy is?
Power BI is a powerful, specific machine within that factory. It is the control room screen that tells you what the factory is producing. It's that glossy monitor that shows units per hour or temperature levels.
That makes so much sense. So you can't really compare the factory to the control screen.
You can't.
If you only buy the screen, you have nothing to show on it. And if you only build the factory without the screen, you have no idea what's happening inside.
Exactly. You need both. And the foundation of this factory, the concrete floor, if you will, is something called OneLake.
OneLake. I've heard it called the OneDrive for data.
That's the perfect elevator pitch for it, yeah.
Yeah.
In the old days, and by old days I mean like 3 years ago, you had all these data silos.
Right.
You had to copy data from your SQL server to your data warehouse, then copy it again to a data mart, and then import it into your BI tool.
It was like a game of telephone with data.
It was. And every time you copied it, you risked errors, version conflicts, and you paid for storage 2, maybe 3 times. OneLake eliminates that data duplication. There's no more copying. It's a single logical lake for the whole organization.
That sounds like a massive time saver, but how does it actually work on a technical level? I mean, if my data is sitting in a PostgreSQL database or Cosmos DB, how does it suddenly just appear in OneLake?
It uses something called mirroring. It supports SQL Server, Cosmos DB, and PostgreSQL. Essentially, your data stays where it is, but Fabric keeps a near real-time replica in OneLake automatically.
So no code.
No code. Fabric just sees it and uses it instantly without you writing a single line of code to move it.
So Fabric is fundamentally rewiring how data flows before we even get to the pretty charts.
Correct. Fabric uses a lakehouse architecture, which is microservices-based. It's modular. Power BI, on the other hand, traditionally uses a layered architecture. You have desktop for development, service for sharing. Fabric just flattens all that out.
And that rewiring, that efficiency, is what leads to that big ROI figure we mentioned. It's all about speed to insight.
Speed is the currency here. I've got a great example of this. BDO Belgium. They're a massive advisory firm. They moved their M&A analytics mergers and acquisitions from these clunky, outdated systems over to Fabric.
And having been involved in M&A due diligence, I know that data is notoriously complex. It's just a mess of different systems from different companies.
It's a total nightmare. You get spreadsheets, SQL dumps, random text files.
Yeah.
BDO used to spend months just cleaning that data up. By switching to Fabric, they cut their development time from months down to just 2 weeks.
2 weeks. From months, that's incredible.
It is.
In an M&A deal, being 2 months faster than the competition, that's the difference between closing the deal and losing it.
That is the power of a unified platform. When you're not spending 80% of your time just moving data around ETL, as we call it, you can build solutions incredibly fast.
But we have to talk about the business case, because speed costs money, or at least the pricing models are very different.
They are.
Let's get into the weeds on pricing. This is where I think a lot of our listeners get stuck. It's not an apples to apples comparison. Right?
No, it's very distinct. Fabric uses capacity-based pricing. So you're buying capacity units. It starts at the F2 level, which is roughly $262 per month.
Okay, so around $260. That's pretty accessible. That's a rounding error for most IT budgets.
It is. But that scales all the way up to F2048 for massive enterprises, which costs, well, tens of thousands. Plus, you pay for storage, which is about $23 per terabyte per month.
So with Fabric, you're basically renting a pool of computing power like a generator for the whole organization to share.
Exactly. Whereas Power BI is all user-based licensing. And we should probably mention the price changes that hit in April 2025. That caused a bit of a stir.
Right, the price hike.
Yeah. Power BI Pro went up to $14 per user per month. Premium per user went to $24 per month.
So the strategic implication here is that Fabric creates a shared pool of power while Power BI taxes the headcount.
That is the key difference. If you have a huge team that's just viewing reports executives, floor managers, sales reps, Fabric's capacity model might actually save you a lot of money compared to buying thousands of individual Pro licenses.
But if you're a small shop with, say, 3 analysts,
then Power BI Pro is still going to be the cheaper route for you.
This is a perfect segue. We've talked theory, we've talked pricing. I want to know about the real world. You're on the ground with this stuff. What are you seeing?
Well, we at Kanerika see this confusion every day. We're working with clients who are trying to navigate this exact transition. And we've seen some incredible successes when the right tool is applied to the right problem.
Walk us through one. What about Northgate? I understand they had a big visibility problem.
Northgate is a great example. They're in supply chain and packaging solutions. And their challenge was classic. They had fragmented data across multiple systems, ERP, CRM, logistics tracking. It was all separate.
A common headache, flying blind.
Exactly. So we at Kanerika stepped in. Now, here's the interesting part. The solution for them wasn't to rebuild their entire back end immediately with heavy engineering. Their data structure was okay, they just couldn't see it.
So for them, the machine, the visualization, was the priority.
In that specific instance, yes. We unified their sources into a single reporting platform using Power BI. We built them real-time dashboards for logistics and cost control.
And what was the business impact?
The outcome was just much better decision-making and fewer order delays.
Yeah.
They needed clarity, and Power BI delivered that clarity fast.
But what about when the data itself is the bottleneck? You know, when the pipes are clogged?
That's where the factory comes in. We worked with a 3PL, a third-party logistics provider. They needed real-time insights. But they were dealing with these massive data sets, millions of rows of shipping data that were just choking their old reporting tools.
So just putting a dashboard on top wouldn't work because the engine underneath would just stall.
Exactly. You click refresh and go get a coffee for 20 minutes. That does not work in logistics. So we at Kanerika set up Microsoft Fabric for them. We used it for scalable reporting. Because Fabric could handle the heavy lifting of the data processing using that distributed computing power we talked about, the outcome was a significantly shorter time to insight. We fixed the factory so the machine could finally work.
I love that distinction. It really clarifies why you might choose one over the other, or rather, how you prioritize them. It depends on whether your problem is, I can't see the data, or my data is too heavy to lift.
And that prioritization gets even more interesting when we start to layer in artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Because in 2026, AI isn't just a buzzword anymore, it's a utility. It's like electricity.
It really is. And looking at the specs, it seems like Fabric has democratized AI in a big way. Copilot is now available on all paid capacity levels, right? Starting at that little F2 level we mentioned.
That was a major shift. It used to be that you had to pay for the premium top-tier capacity to get the smart features. Now it's universal. But just like the tools themselves, the AI plays very different roles depending on where it sits.
Let's break that down. Fabric AI versus Power BI AI. Who are they for?
Okay, so Fabric AI focuses on the heavy lifting. It's there for the engineers. It handles code generation writing Python or Scala code in notebooks so developers can move faster.
So no more boilerplate code?
Right. If you're a data engineer, you're not writing that stuff anymore. Fabric does it for you. And then you have things like data agents.
Which used to be called AI skills.
Exactly. They let you ask plain language questions about your data. But they're also operations agents. These are fascinating. They monitor data streams and suggest actions automatically.
So the AI is actually watching the factory floor for you.
Precisely. It's watching the pipes for leaks. Now, contrast that with Power BI AI. That focuses on the presentation. You have the report Copilot. You can just type, make me a chart showing sales by region versus last year, and poof, it builds the entire report page.
That just changes the barrier to entry completely. You don't need to know how to navigate all the menus anymore.
Not at all. And then there's the mobile Copilot, which allows for voice-enabled queries on your smartphone. It's hands-free exploration for the executive on the go, plus all those great analytic visuals like key influencers and decomposition trees, which use AI to explain why a number went up or down.
It's amazing how specific these agents have become. I was reading about the rise of Agentic AI in the enterprise. We are not just talking about a generic chatbot anymore.
No, not at all. We are seeing highly specialized agents. Think of Alan, an AI agent designed specifically as a legal summarizer, or Mike, a quantitative proofreader that catches arithmetic errors in reports.
And I saw one called Susan, the PII redactor.
Right. Susan is a great example of pure utility. She automatically scans documents and databases to remove sensitive information, social security numbers, addresses, before they ever hit the general reports. These are specialized workers inside the digital factory.
It's incredible. You've got Mike checking the math and Susan protecting the privacy. So with all this capability, the factory, the machine, this army of AI agents, how does a listener decide what they actually need?
It really comes down to the persona and the use case. Let's run through 3 common scenarios.
Okay, scenario A. The data engineer or the enterprise architect, the person building the pipes.
Their needs are complex pipelines, machine learning models, and strict governance. The solution is undeniably Fabric. They'll be using Spark 4.0 for batch processing or Data Factory for automated pipelines. Power BI alone simply cannot do what they need. It would crash.
Okay, scenario B. The finance team. They live in Excel. They love their monthly reports. They need everything to balance to the penny.
For them, it's about monthly dashboards, variance analysis, financial reporting. The solution is Power BI. They'll be using DAX for their calculations and waterfall charts to compare budgets. They don't need to touch the Spark clusters. They just want the numbers to be right.
And scenario C, real-time operations, like a manufacturing floor or a retail chain during Black Friday.
They need to track inventory across locations instantly or monitor sensor data. This is a hybrid. The solution is Fabric real-time intelligence feeding into Power BI. Fabric ingests the massive stream of sensor data. It detects anomalies instantly, like fraud or a stockout, and Power BI just visualizes that alert on a screen.
So for that real-time ops scenario, it's really a better together story.
It is. And that brings us to the integration. Because you don't really want to choose between them if you can help it. You want them connected.
And the bridge connecting them is something called direct lake mode. Now, I want to spend a minute here because this seems to be the technical secret sauce.
This is the game changer. Direct Lake mode allows Power BI to connect directly to OneLake.
Why is that such a big deal? I mean, don't all tools connect to data?
They do, but usually with a major trade-off. Traditionally, you had two choices. Import mode, where you copy the data into Power BI to make it fast.
But the data's stale.
Right, the data is stale until you refresh it.
Right.
Or you had direct query, where you look at the live data, but it's incredibly slow because you're querying a distant database every single time you click.
So you had to choose fast and old or slow and new.
Exactly. With Direct Lake, there is no import needed. It's high speed, but without the data movement. You are looking at the live data sitting in the factory in OneLake instantly. It gives you the performance of import mode with the freshness of direct query.
That solves so many version control headaches. You're not looking at sales final version 3.pbx anymore.
It does. And speaking of control, we have to mention governance. Because if you have that kind of direct access, you need to know who is looking at what. Fabric integrates with Microsoft Purview. This gives you end-to-end lineage tracking.
So you can see where data came from and where it's going.
Exactly. Which is crucial when you have AI agents like Mike and Susan touching the data. You need to know if Susan actually redacted that file or if Mike changed a number. Trust is the currency of the data ecosystem. If you lose trust in the data, the whole factory just shuts down.
I want to circle back to the how. We've talked about the technology, the factory, the agents, the architecture, but implementation is where dreams go to die if you aren't careful. You can buy the best gym equipment in the world, but if you don't know how to lift, you're just going to hurt yourself.
That is the absolute truth. We at Kanerika emphasize this constantly. It's not just about buying the tool. It is all about the implementation. We do a lot of migration services, moving clients from Tableau to Power BI or Informatica to Fabric.
So it's a strategic move, not just a software install.
Right. It's about optimizing operations. When we look at the logistics operations we've worked with, we've seen an average annual cost savings of about $1.2 million.
Wait, say that again? 1.2 million.
Yes. And that doesn't come from just installing software. It comes from completely rethinking how data moves through the organization.
That's a massive number. That's pure bottom line impact.
It represents efficiency. It represents stopping manual reporting, where highly paid analysts spend 20 hours a week just copy-pasting into Excel. It represents getting answers in minutes instead of weeks. We help optimize data operations for that level of efficiency.
So if we look at the big picture here, what does this all mean for the listener? If they're sitting there with a budget and a mandate to modernize, what is the takeaway?
The summary is this. Fabric is the foundation. Power BI is the window. You do not replace Power BI with Fabric. You supercharge it.
I like that. You don't replace the window with the foundation. You need both to have a house.
Exactly. And the shift we're seeing, the digital shift, if you will, isn't just about tools. It's about moving from static reporting, where you look at what happened last month, to active intelligence.
Active intelligence, meaning the system is actually working for you.
Yes. And here's a thought to leave you with. With agentic AI and tools like Fabric, we are moving toward autonomous data systems.
Autonomous. Like a self-driving car, but for data.
Think about it. If your data platform can monitor itself, if operations agents can detect errors and agents like Mike can fix them, if the platform can fix its own errors, what does that free up your human teams to actually achieve?
That's a provocative thought. We're moving from managing data to managing the outcomes of data. The humans stop being the mechanics of the factory and start being the architects of the business.
Precisely. And that is the future we're all building toward.
I love that. We're going to leave it there for today. I want to thank you for breaking this down with us and helping us navigate this beast of a topic.
My pleasure. It's an exciting time to be in data.
And thank you to our listeners for joining us on this deep dive. This has been Kanerika's The Digital Shift. Keep asking the right questions, and we'll see you next time.